Hey, it's Daniel. This is going to be a 75-minute Yin Yoga class. Some props that would help if you have them. 2 blocks, a bolster, and a blanket. So if you have those, grab them. And we'll start with some seated meditation. So I'm going to sit up on top of a block. You can come into any comfortable seated position. Cross-legged or kneeling position would work. The important part is that your spine is relatively upright and you can sit relaxed, so it's easy to pay attention to the experience that you're having. Once you arrive in your seat, take a moment to relax your body. And then just start to notice what you're experiencing right now. So whatever that you're experiencing, just let it be okay. Just allowing yourself to non-judgmentally, gently observe your experience. You may notice sensations, thoughts, or sounds. Sometimes tastes or smells or sights, emotions. And whatever's there, just notice as it arises. Notice what it's like when it's present. And then notice when it's no longer there. So we're noticing when any of these things, sensations or thoughts, emotions, notice when something arises in your experience. Notice what it's like when it's there, and then notice when it's not. Noticing this process of moment-to-moment change in experience. So you may notice when a sensation arises in your body. As it's present, you may notice subtle changes moment to moment in maybe the intensity of the sensation or the way that it's experienced, maybe where you feel it. There may be a reaction to anything that comes up, a thought or sensation. Whatever comes up, there may be a reaction where you perceive it as either pleasant or unpleasant or neither. Noticing that too. Just letting it be how it is for right now. Just non-judgmentally observing the experience that you're having. And as you notice this process of moment-to-moment change in your experience, noticing as sensations or sights or thoughts come and go, or emotions, reactions, noticing that process, noticing as any of these is present moment-to-moment change within the experience of a sensation, for example. And as you notice that your experience changes moment to moment, and various elements of it are interconnected, whatever experience that you're having, you can notice this. Notice that the context in which it arises is constant, so that there's always awareness. Before a sensation arises, there's awareness while it's present, and then after it's no longer there. So just showing up to whatever experience that you're having right now, not pushing it away or pulling anything towards you either. just non-judgmentally observing it, whatever kind of experience that you're having. Noticing the process of moment-to-moment change in your experience. Noticing the different ways that your experience is interconnected. Not getting lost in that, but just noticing that. And also noticing the context of awareness. That whatever experience that you're having is arising within awareness, whether it's a sensation, or a thought, or emotion, a reaction, different parts of the psychological self that you may experience. The common analogy is that it's like noticing the space in the room, so it's easy to see the furniture and the objects in the room. And then shifting the attention to the context and noticing that your experience is arising within awareness. And then just remaining interested in the experience too. So as we go through this practice, it's the same idea. We'll keep this meditation practice going as we move through the poses. And pay particular attention to your physical experience to keep yourself safe. So the poses, it may get more intense over time as you hold a pose. This is normal. A little bit outside of your comfort zone is okay. But we're not going for anything painful, anything where you're struggling to breathe or where you might get hurt. So you've always got permission to back off a little bit or to take a different pose or to come out early if you need to. For the first pose, we're going to take square pose, targeting the hips. I've got a folded blanket set up here. It can help when you're doing a forward fold to help your pelvis tilt forward so you can come into it more easily. So I'm going to sit on top of my folded blanket for this. And for square pose, you sit cross-legged. And we'll start with the right ankle in front of the left. So that's one option. And the idea would be that you would, keeping your hips relaxed, you just fold forward until you feel something in one or both hips. Another option is to take your right shin and stack your shins. See if that works for you. That doesn't work for everybody. If it doesn't, you can just go back to having your ankles cross. And then you can use blocks here if you want to at first. You just keep everything relaxed and you fold forward. And it might not be very much that you feel. That's okay. We're not looking for anything extreme. You want to make sure you don't have any knee pain if you do back off a little bit, or even maybe take a different pose. But the hip, the sensation in the hips is intended here. So take a moment and just notice what you're feeling right now. Now, if it's a little bit too much, you can back off a little bit. If you're not feeling much at all, you can ease a little bit more into the pose. You can either keep your spine long, or you can let your spine round and hang your head here, adding in a little secondary target at the back and neck. Once you've found the variation that you want, you just remain still and you get to know your experience. So what's coming up here for you? And you're noticing the subtle moment-to-moment changes. It's easy to notice it in the Yin Yoga poses because they create stress in your tissues. So I can notice here, for example, as I breathe, changes in the intensity of the sensation with each breath. I can notice slight movement of the tissue as I breathe. And you can notice that process. So you can break that down and you can notice that a sensation arises, and then there's a thought interpreting it as movement. Whatever comes up, however you want to break it down, you're just allowing yourself to notice the um, um, changes each moment that make up your experience. And then noticing that all of that is happening within the context of awareness. So sensation or thought arises within awareness, is experienced within awareness. And just allow yourself to be with your experience. And you may experience, it would be unusual not to experience at some point in this practice some kind of a difficult mind state. So slowly walk back up to a seat. And so these kind of things come up. You have things like anger, ill will, doubt, boredom, restlessness, or worry. If any of these difficult mind states come up, you just notice those. Get to know what it's like to experience these type of states and notice that they're arising within awareness. So you can see here that I'm doing some counter movement. You can move in whatever way is intuitive to you. I've chosen to straighten my legs and roll my hips and shoulders side to side. And really feel into that as you're doing it. You want to notice the subtle details in your sensory experience. All right. It's time for us to switch sides. So this time we're still taking square pose, but we'll have the left ankle in front. You have the option to take the cross-legged variation or to stack your left shin on top of the right. Whichever one works for your body. Make sure that it's safe for your knees. You don't want any sensation in your knees here, just your hips. Stay relaxed and then fold forward until you start to feel the effect of the pose. So your first edge is just the first place that you go to where you feel an effect in your body. You can stop there and you can notice what you're feeling at the first edge. From there, you can decide if you want to adjust your alignment. At any point in the pose, you have permission to do that, but in general, I recommend to remain still and get to know your experience. What would it be like right now to just let your experience be how it is, not need to change anything about it? And can you notice that awareness is already receiving your experience? Now you can slowly walk back up to a seat. And we'll do some just gentle counter movement again. So I'm going to lean back on my legs and on my hands and uncross my legs. Then roll side to side my hips and shoulders. Whatever feels intuitive to you is fine. And just noticing the effect in your body. So we can notice that experience is temporary as we notice sensations and sounds and thoughts or emotions come and go. All experience is temporary, and then we can also notice the ways that the elements of our experience are intricately connected as we move and we feel the effect of movement, for example, or even in stillness. Now, we're going to keep our legs straight for caterpillar pose. We're targeting the backs of the legs for this pose and actually the entire back body. Making sure that your legs are relaxed. You just fold forward. So we're not reaching here to stretch as deeply as possible, but just folding forward to affect a sensation in the back body. So stopping at that first edge. And you can use blocks here under your hands if you would like that. Another option, if you want to take a deeper option, if you can reach easily without straining, you can take hold of your feet and flex your feet. Now you don't want to do this with muscular effort in this practice. So make sure that that's an appropriate option for you if you take it. But you just want to keep everything relaxed. And this is an interesting option if it's appropriate for you because you can feel different types of sensation from this variation, different compressive and tension type of sensations. Whatever variation that you are, see if you can notice those subtleties. At the same time, noticing that all of that is arising within awareness. So there's the personal self, or the conditional, that's changing moment to moment, and the absolute. Okay, so you can slowly walk back up to a seat. And then for this one, for the counter pose, I'm going to choose to step my feet in and lean back on my hands, and you can sway your knees from side to side slowly, any amount. It is normal to feel some soreness after coming out of a Yin Yoga pose. Excuse me. It should go away within a minute or two. You might take a reverse table, lifting your hips. Lowering back down. For the next pose, you have two options. One is a deer pose, which is to lean your knees over to the right and move your feet over a little to the left, so bring your legs into a pinwheel shape. And we would turn, so this is the deer pose leg shape. The other option is blasted swan, which is to take your right leg and straighten it out. Either way, what we're going to do is we're going to turn a little to the right and then fold over our hip. So I'm just coming onto my hands here. You can test out the blasted swan variation and see if you like it here. Keeping everything relaxed, we're targeting the outside edge of the entire leg, especially in the hip area. So if you prefer the open deer option, it's the same thing but with the knee bent. And then for the open deer, same idea, we're just folding to bring some sensation into the hip. I'm going to take the blasted swan variation because it's okay for my body. Make sure you don't have any knee pain. And you can fold under your hands. You could fold under your forearms if you wanted to. Just make sure that's appropriate. Notice what you're feeling at the first edge. Now, if you feel like taking a deep option today and it's appropriate for you, you can lower your chest, take hold of your foot, and look in the opposite direction. Just to show you that one, I'm going to stay up on my hands though. Noticing what's coming up here. Okay, whichever option you took, slowly come back up onto your hands, coming up to a seat, keeping the leg shape but turning to face the front of your chest. Now we'll take lateral flexion. So we're targeting lateral flexion of the chest. You just lean to the right to come onto your hand, bringing the chest into an appropriate amount of lateral flexion. Notice what you're feeling at the first edge, and if you do want to add a little weight, you can lift your arm and drape it over your head like this. Remaining interested in your experience, whatever experience that you're having. Maybe parts of it are more pleasant or unpleasant. And coming back up to a seat slowly. You can just step both feet into your mat here. Doing a little bit of counter movement. So I'm going to sway my knees from side to side, whatever feels natural. Maybe you want to do a little bit of shoulder rolls. If you were up on your wrist like me. Stepping both feet into the mat, then we'll take the second side. Leaning your knees over to the left. Moving your right foot over to the right to bring your legs into a pinwheel shape if you want to take the open deer variation. So that would be folding to bring weight into your hip. Blasted swan is the same idea except with the left leg straight. Then targeting the entire lateral side of the left leg. Making sure that you do this in a way that does not bring any sensation into your knee. Aside from maybe a little mild tension across the back. staying present with your experience. Whichever variation that you took, coming back up slowly, keeping the leg shape, but turning your chest towards the front once you come up to a seat. From there, lateral flexion of the chest, leaning over to your left onto your hand, or maybe your elbow on a block if you prefer. Keeping your torso relaxed for an appropriate amount of lateral flexion. If you want to add weight, you can drape your arm over your head. And then bringing your right hand down to support you. And then slowly coming back up to a seat. And you can step your feet into the mat. And then lean back onto your hands and sway your knees and hips from side to side slowly. Maybe you want to do some shoulder rolls if you were on your arms like me. From there, come onto your belly. So however you want to get there. Just coming into a prone position on your mat. And we'll take a Sphinx pose. So you just lift up onto your forearms like a Sphinx, keeping the lower back relaxed because that's the area that we're targeting. Notice what you're feeling at the first edge. Now, if you're not feeling very much, this variation, an option is to, a subtle option is to adjust the angle of your head up or down. So up would give you a little more sensation, down would give you a little less. Another option is to bring your forearms onto blocks. If you wanted a little bit more in your lower back. And you can adjust the distance of your blocks forward and back too. Staying present with your experience here. Noticing the subtleties. Noticing that it's changing each moment. Noticing that that is within the context of awareness, the always present awareness. Now you can slowly lower down, turning your elbows out to the side as you do that, so that you can rest your head on your hands. You can turn your head to one side. And so far, we've been doing counter movement between poses, so that's one option. It is normal to be a little sore after coming out of a yin pose. You can do some counter movement or some muscular activation to alleviate the soreness. That's one option. Another option is to just remain still. And you'll notice that if there's some sensation as a result of the posture work, that it tends to fade over time. It should go away within a minute or two. If it doesn't go away within that time frame, that's feedback that that was a little bit too much, so next time back off. So noticing what you're feeling like here as we rest, or noticing the sensation. Okay, so you can bring your hands beside your chest and tuck your toes and lift your chest and then shift your hips up and back. Coming on the hands and knees, you can sway your hips from side to side. Now we're going to take dragon pose next. So I'm going to pad my knees here with a folded blanket because we'll be in this posture for several minutes. From there, step your right hand in towards your left some so that you can step your right foot up enough that your back hip comes forward of your knee, targeting the legs here. So I'm going to suggest a variation called overstepping dragon. So for that one, you just slide your foot back enough that your front knee comes forward of your foot some. See if you like that variation. You can always go back. Now you could try another option, which is to let your knee wing out to the side a little bit. For that one, you may have your foot more in line with your knee. Or you could take that overstepping dragon variation. Okay, so if you took the option where you winged your knee out to the side, bring it back in line with your hips. And we're going to come into Gecko, which is the Yin Yoga version of Hanumanasana. So have your blocks handy. Then walk back just a little bit, bringing that stress out of your hips. From there, start to walk your foot forward any amount. So you don't have to fully straighten your legs for this. You just want to walk your foot forward some. We are targeting the hamstrings. So this is perfectly acceptable here, just walking your foot forward some. And I've got my hands on blocks here. You can fully straighten your legs. If that's appropriate, you can fully straighten your front leg. Be careful about your knee. It's very possible to hyperextend it in this variation, so you want to pay attention to what you're feeling here. Keeping the leg relaxed, bringing an appropriate amount of weight. Okay? And then making sure that you're pressing down into your hands if you have your leg fully straight. Slowly working your foot back into the mat. From there, shifting your chest back a little and slowly walking your foot back in. Now, we can come into a downward facing dog as our counter pose. Pedaling your feet out, maybe resting your weight into one leg and then the other. Maybe it feels good to lift a leg and open your hip. Switching sides. And then stepping the left foot forward. Have your hand to the inside of your leg for the second side. You want to bring your back hip forward of your knee. For overstepping dragon, your front knee comes forward of your foot some. Or for the winged dragon, your knee is in line with your foot and you open your knee out to the side. Take one of those options. If you're in the winged variation, you can bring your knee slowly back into line with your hip. Then start to walk your chest back some, bringing the weight out of your legs so that you can set up your gecko pose. So I'm going to have my hands on blocks. You start to walk your foot forward of your knee. It can be any amount. So this is fine here. If it's appropriate for your body, you can fully straighten the leg. You can be anywhere in between. If you do have your leg fully straight, you want to be careful how much weight that you're bringing into your knee. Back of the leg is relaxed, targeting the hamstring. And you can notice kind of expansions and contractions in awareness. So when you're doing a pose where you really have to pay attention, there may be a more contracted state arises. it's a little bit more physically unpleasant. Maybe there's a little bit more mental difficulty too. Noticing all of these interconnected conditions within your experience. Okay. If you've fully straightened your leg, make sure you're pressing down into your hands and carefully work your foot into the mat. All right. From there, you can just slowly walk yourself back, bringing your foot in with you. And then we can do some movement in a downward facing dog again. When you're ready, come into a plank pose, lower down onto your belly. I'm going to get my blanket out of the way. And we're going to come into a reclining twist from here. So you'll roll to your right to come onto your right side, stepping your knee in to a block or the ground if that's comfortable for you. From there, bring your hand under your chest and you can open your shoulder up to come into the twist. Slowly roll back onto your side. Make sure your back is relaxed, and then roll onto your back to rest with your knees bent up. staying present with your experience. We'll take a few minutes before we take the other side. Now for the second side, you can straighten out your left leg. Set your block up to your left side. Bring your right knee into your hand and then roll to your left to come onto your left side, bringing your knee onto your block. And you don't have to use the block if you don't need it. Then bring your hand under your chest and roll your shoulder open to come into the twist. You can straighten your arm if you want. Remaining present with your experience. Noticing that whatever experience that you're having that is within awareness. Coming slowly back to your side. Making sure you're relaxed and then returning to your back to rest with your knees bent up. Staying present with your experience in the resting pose as well. Now, you can bring both your knees into your hands for a supine frog position, opening your knees out to the side, targeting the thighs. Another option is to take a happy baby, bringing your feet up. If it's appropriate, if you have a healthy back and neck, you might try snail pose, which is the yin version of the plow pose. You can bring your hands to your hips, letting your knees come back towards your shoulders, supporting your hips and your hands. And you've got everything relaxed in this pose, except for, of course, your arms. If you're in snail pose, keeping your hips supported, slowly roll down. Whatever pose you're in, just slowly coming out of your pose to bring your feet to your mat. And if you took snail pose, it might feel good to take a brief bridge pose, bringing your hands down to the mat in line with your shoulders, feet in line with your knees and hips, and then just pressing down to lift your hips up off the mat and lower back down. You might do that a couple times. And then when you're ready, feel free to take any movements that you need. When you're ready, we'll come into our Shavasana. So I've got a blanket. This is a good time to get one because your body does tend to cool in this practice. And we're relaxed here, but staying present. Returning to the instructions at the beginning of the class. Noticing your experience. There may be sensations, thoughts, sounds, emotions, anything that's there, noticing it when it arises. Noticing what it's like. Not needing to form a judgment about it, but just noticing moment to moment changes. Noticing the quality of your experience. And noticing that whatever experience that you're having, that is grounded in awareness itself. Inclusive of any self that could be having an experience, right? Noticing that the personal self is also arising within awareness. So what would it be like to just allow your experience to flow?
last time, so you can start to slowly roll your ankles from side to side or wiggle your toes. Maybe you want to move your head around the mat, getting yourself ready to come up to a seat in your own time.
Thank you for practicing with me.